Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast that never sleeps. I'm your host, Cameron, and with me always is Jared. Say hi to Jared.
Hi to Jared.
So, it is our episode freaking 100, dude.
Yeah, 100 of these.
100 TPTN episodes.
Yeah.
So we used to do Crash Talk, but we don't do those anymore.
And they didn't count anyway.
They don't count towards the TPTNS, baby.
Yeah,
so this is 100 episodes. So I guess we're saying you're welcome.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. So, by the way, guys, we do have chapters. So if you want to skip ahead to any point of the show, there's chapters below. But I don't know if this is one you need to skip ahead on.
No.
So basically what we're going to be doing is going to be explained by Jared right now. Jared, do you want to explain to him what we'll be doing?
Yeah, we cover so many cool, interesting topics here, and that's why we do it. We find something interesting or fascinating in the news or in a discovery that's made, and then we come here and we talk about what we think it is, or we talk about the evidence behind it and does it make sense. And we've gotten to a point where we've covered so many of these disparate topics that seem to have their own mystique about them. But today, I'm going to propose that all of these topics that we've been covering for this past year, 2 years, they might be connected. And there's so much evidence to that. So today, we're going to show you this pathway to this overarching theory that all of the mysterious and ancient anomalies in the world that we've been talking about are all part of the same theory. Unified mysterious theory.
Unified mysterious theory. So basically, all of these different unrelated topics that we've covered over 100 episodes, over 99 episodes.
Seemingly unrelated, yeah.
Seemingly unrelated, but we're posing today that maybe not all of them are unrelated.
Yeah, and if you saw the thumb, that's interesting.
Yeah, on the thumbnail literally says, aliens aren't real, baby.
Yeah, that's weird, right?
So what do we mean by that? What could
Because we
mean?
talk about them here on the show all the time.
Literally.
We cover a lot of UAP topics. We cover a lot of UAP sightings. We cover abduction cases and whistleblowers. And
we don't cover it as if it's like stupid nonsense.
No, never.
So what do we mean? The only way to find out is to watch. So I'm excited for you guys. So Jared, what do you say we run this intro and we start, baby?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Let's do. So, man, I got my disappointed face on. You like the end of Loki season 2?
Yeah.
Him with the green time. It sounds like something I would make up. It really does.
A ghost, a ghoul, a goblin, a monster, a werewolf.
Went on and wrote in the comments, I was going to say that came out great.
You're off to a great start.
Yeah. We got some fun stuff planned today. We got some goods. I was going to say they came out great. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So happy to have you. So like I said, this is a very fun, awesome episode. Episode 100. Let's hear it for ourselves one more time. And for everybody that is in the chat, you guys have been here since basically day one. And so we love you all so much. We appreciate the heck out of you.
Such a good chat. Yeah, you guys, please add to the conversation today.
So today especially, we have a lot to discuss.
Yeah.
So Jared, we got to dive right in, boy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about aliens, as you've seen. We've talked about inner Earth, Antarctica, Admiral Byrd, and seeing UFOs with the symbol of the Third Reich. We've talked about Bigfoot. We've talked about so much different stuff. We've talked about
missing 411, the pyramids, and the ancient Jed, and the Akashic records, and I mean.
So I guess my question to you is, what haven't we covered? No, my question to you, Jared, is where would you like to begin?
So I think it makes a lot of sense to first pose what this theory is.
Please.
And then I'm going to go through chronologically and just kind of explain why this makes sense to me. And then as we go, I want you to just kind of tell me what you think, ask questions in the chat.
Yeah.
But as we go, let's start unpacking this together. I want this to be more of a conversation than a data dump. I'm not just going to tell you everything, just talk at you.
Sure.
I want to tell you, where this all starts.
And I'm not going to pull any punches, buddy.
Yeah.
If I think you're going off the rails, I'm going to tell you in a serious damn way.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Okay.
that's good because then we can actually talk through it because I
All
think
right.
that's the most important part is being able to talk through this stuff.
Chase Mack says, congrats on 100, consistent and strong. Yes, we are. And D Livebar said, happy 100. Thank you guys. And they also said they're going to start a class action lawsuit, D Livebar and Given Life, because we started late again.
That's fine.
But that's fine. We'll cross that. We'll burn that bridge when we come to it. So, all right.
Yeah.
Hit me. What do we got?
So here is my theory. I am going to propose that all of these UAP vehicles, these nuts and bolts craft that we're retrieving in these retrieval programs that we're seeing on these videotape captures that the Navy's been videotaping with their sonar and radar and their gun cams and releasing to us, and
Drone footage.
all of this is terrestrial technology from a civilization that exists here on Earth that has just been very, very good at keeping their existence a secret.
So you're saying we've never recovered an extraterrestrial craft from outer space, from alien life?
So I don't want to say that aliens don't exist, right? I don't want to say that, right? I just don't want to outright say there's no chance of aliens, right?
Because I think there is. I think there absolutely is.
I don't want to say that it's never been the case.
Okay.
But I think it's highly unlikely. I think what's more likely is a civilization here on this planet has had the ability to thrive for tens of thousands of years
Without us knowing about them.
and keep their existence. No, well,
Without
keep their
us knowing
existence
about them.
well enough hidden so that they can continue to thrive and make leaps in technology thousands of years ahead of us.
Okay.
Of what we know is capable, we're capable of. And that's the theory.
So
it's all from here.
My first question then would be, when did these people start living in this place?
Yeah. No, great place to start. So who are these people? Where are they from?
Yeah.
And why don't we know about them, right? Or why do only a few people know about their existence?
Okay.
So there is a place called Agartha. And we've talked about it before on the show. We have an episode that we did, and let's throw that up there. Yeah, so...
heaven is a place in earth.
Yeah, so one of the oldest written texts and some of the oldest religions are from Asia. And Asia, they had a place called Agartha, which is basically this... And Agartha and Shambhala, the meaning of these names is peace. Or peaceful.
Shangri-La?
Yeah, Shangri-La, peaceful, exactly. They all have the same general idea, is that, or it means no violence, roughly.
Really?
These are places of peace and spirituality. So that is the number one thing that separated these places from everywhere else on the planet.
So you point to inner earth, so you believe this civilization lives in earth?
So let's start at the beginning. I believe that this place didn't start inside the earth, but that it started on the surface. And we actually have a date. It's 51,000 BC is when Agartha was founded and when that civilization started.
And what evidence do you have to that being the
Ancient Sanskrit texts, ancient Vedas, and also ambassadors that have been sent up from inner earth to speak with academics and people who study Asian studies and to try to teach them about their culture. They've been trying to gently let us know throughout the centuries about their existence, and they have intervened when it was necessary in order to save humanity from extinction on the surface. But they weren't always underground.
Okay.
So Agartha started as an island in the Himalayas, and this is based on, like I said, sacred, ancient Chinese and
So
Hindu
Sanskrit
texts.
and all these ancient texts say that there is a civilization not under earth. They just say there's a civilization in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
And so what makes you think that it is now an inner earth civilization?
So it starts when they talk about it as being an island in the mountains of the Himalayas.
Okay.
So let's start at 51,000 BC.
Okay.
And they're starting this civilization.
Okay.
As they grow, and now they would have had thousands of years to grow, to learn different technologies. Language was invented, agriculture was invented, astronomy was perfected. They started the sciences.
And this is all in the text.
And these are all in the text. And this place, Agartha, this is where all of these innovations were made. But it was above ground.
Yeah.
And then they started other cities around the world. So they had ancient Egypt. Why do I think ancient Egypt has anything to do with the Agarthans? So the technology that ancient Egypt shows, I'm talking the stuff we still don't understand, is one hint. Another hint is that they have kings that go back 30,000 years in ancient Egypt. So before the dynastic Egyptians, they had kings for up to about 30,000 years. So if we're talking about 51,000 BC is when Agartha starts, and then this civilization gets their technology in order, they're able to start traveling they create ships and boats, and they can travel from continent to continent.
So you're saying this is like the first real civilization?
The first real civilization that had language, agriculture, and travel.
So like Tower of Babel type of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just one group, and then they created.
Yeah. So they learn how to traverse the oceans. So they go and they start up a colony in Egypt.
So does this theory tie into the Younger Dryas impact theory?
Well, eventually it has to, right?
Yeah.
So we're starting at 51,000.
Yeah.
So now let's get a little bit closer. Now we're 30,000 years ago.
Okay.
Right? And 30,000 years ago, this is when the Egyptians, they start having leaders in Egypt and what they call the pre-dynastic pharaohs. And they didn't have dynasties. So that's why they call them the pre-dynastic pharaohs, is these pharaohs didn't come from a long line of pharaohs before them. The Egyptians believed them to be gods. All of the pharaohs before the dynastic Egyptian pharaohs were gods. The gods were the actual leaders of this civilization in Egypt. We also have another civilization around this time that pops up in the Sahara, and this is what we now call Atlantis.
I was gonna say, okay.
So tied to.
So wait, you don't think? So when the Egyptians are writing about these ancient gods, do you think? Who are they referring to?
The Agarthans or the Atlanteans.
So do you think
people of this civilization?
So the people in this civilization, these Agarthans, were they tall beings? Were they?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So we don't have a lot of evidence of what the Agarthans look like, but we know that based on them being 51,000 years old, and based on accounts later in history that we'll get to, is that there are different. Not all hominids. Evolved into what we are
Hominids,
but several different types of hominids do exist in Agartha today.
Why does hominid have to be a word you say in Alan Rickman's voice? Hominid,
because it sounds like Potter.
Not all hominids are the same.
But
right? Very much.
But so I think that there would be more than one. So we're not just looking at people that look like us. There would be different species of hominid in this civilization.
Okay, almost like how there's people that are Asian and they look different from people that are from South America.
Yep, 100%.
Okay.
And they would have had time to evolve in a place that was safe. These different other species of hominid in this vast civilization that now is about 20,000 years old.
So
where we're up to.
They have to have different genetic material makeup than we do.
They would. They wouldn't. It wouldn't be all human, right? It would be partially something else. And we have different. We found in the fossil record. There are different hominids, 200,000 years old. There's some that are 3 million years old. They're not Homo sapien, but they are an ancestor of ours. If this civilization had taken some of them in and become part of their society, they would have had nearly 55,000 years to evolve and learn and grow along with the Homo sapiens that started Agartha.
So real quick, what do you think about that theory that I think it's called the stoned ape theory? Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
Where it's basically apes are ancestors, are evolutionary ancestors, found like psilocybin and different kinds of hallucinogens and mushrooms, and they ate them, and that's how their brains grew so drastically in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
Do you think something similar might have happened to these Agarthans or these?
Yeah. So these are the most important things to the people of Agartha was peace, spirituality. and the soul. That's what they cared about most, right?
So not to jump too far ahead.
Yeah.
But if the net is real and it's connected, the net being the Jed or
Yeah.
what's the other term for it? There's another big term.
The Akashic
Records.
Yeah,
That's
records.
it.
There's the ether. Yeah.
So if if it ties the entire universe together,
Yeah.
and there's knowledge from maybe aliens that have landed, previously or whatever, and they could tap into that if spirituality is one of their main things, then they would be mentally way ahead of anything that we would expect.
So they would have had tens of thousands of years up to this point of the pre-dynastic Egyptians to perfect spirituality. And that would include, probably, and they would be one with nature and the earth. They would be able to meditate and communicate, probably.
Giel
mentally.
said it's called Kemet.
Kemet, yeah.
What's Kemet?
Kemet is the original, is when the gods ruled in Egypt. That is like the time before time. So the ancient Egyptians believe that the gods that came and restarted the Egyptian civilization post-flood came from the land of Kem. And that is the origin story of the dynastic Egyptians, that the gods themselves built it.
So, but you're saying they weren't gods at all? They're these inner earth species?
I think they were just a more spiritually and technologically evolved member of Earth. Yeah.
So where did they come from? Did they evolve just like we did from apes?
Yeah, 100%. And
really?
So my problem with
They
the
weren't
ancient
dropped
alien
down
theory,
from aliens or something?
No, I think my biggest problem with the ancient alien theory is a lot of what these people say made these gods special or from the stars can be explained through technology.
Hold on, we got to pause. We got the homie Chase Mack coming in clutch.
Yeah.
I think he liked the Snape thing because it's a laughing sticker. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think if they put spirituality and peace as their number one thing that was important to them, and that's what is said to have been the case, then they would have been one with each other, one with nature. They would have known about the different plants and the effects of them. They would have been able to meditate and, yes, in theory, communicate telepathically.
Sure.
They would have known about sound resonance and frequency, architecture. They would have been able to build the pyramids, as we still don't understand how.
Okay.
So this is that civilization.
So this, I understand what you're saying.
Yep.
And you can tell me no, but if I may, are we able to maybe go ahead a little bit in time? And we can even go back. Mm-hmm. But I'm really curious as to, so I understand maybe potentially those are the roots.
Yeah.
But today, them still living inner earth, them, how do we not know about them? Mm-hmm. Have they come and tried to relay messages to us? Have they given us technology? Does the governments of the world have any pact with these creatures, people, whatever you want to call them, hominids that are different than us?
Yeah.
So what's the answer to that? I guess let me pose it in one simple question. Mm-hmm. Where are they today, and what is our relation to these? What do we call them?
So we're going to get there, but I would call them Agarthans. I would call them
It's these inner earth Agarthans. What is our relation?
And you're
to
jumping to inner earth right now, where we are in history.
Yeah,
we're about. So we started at 51,000 BC. Now we've moved up to about 30,000 years ago, where they build Egypt. Atlantis comes around this same time period. We know that the Agarthans, based on the ancient texts, they had these major cities, and these were probably them: Atlantis, Egypt, Agartha.
But
right?
The ancient texts actually say
that they
Agarthans.
had three major. The Agartha was the original, and that they had three major cities around the world.
Okay.
The technology and the way they build is the same in
which doesn't make
Atlantis
sense.
and in Egypt,
because these places are so far apart.
and they were all about. And they had this technology that we can't describe or understand.
And they had,
right?
and they had similar ideology.
Yeah.
When it comes to spirituality and
and their technology went the same way.
Technology.
Egypt didn't have gas engines and things like they were using the same type of principles that we see in Angkor Wat or that we see in the tales of what Atlantis could do.
All stuff we've talked on
And
about on the show.
Agartha, yeah, exactly. So
Okay, when did they go inner Earth? And then we'll talk about where they are today. When did they go underground? Is that when Atlantis was basically?
So they say that Agartha was forced underground. So this
By
would
who?
be by
the elements?
by the change of topography. In the ancient text, they say a drastic change in topography forced Agartha underground where the Himalayas sit today.
Yeah.
And what could cause that type of event is a cataclysm.
Yeah.
So now...
So a flood.
Exactly.
The
So-
flood is...
which we've talked about on the show.
Yeah.
And we have a thumb for that one. So
So the thumb is real. The thumb is real. The flood actually happened, and
Yeah.
the consequences were that they had to move
yeah, even
in Earth.
Exactly.
D Live already said these are the things you won't hear about in school. Absolutely. And then he said this is important shit that they should have taught us in elementary school, right?
Yeah.
Just even forget this theory,
Right.
that they're tying all this stuff together. These specific things about these
Other
amazing other cultures.
Well, there's a reason they
Yeah.
don't. And we're going to get to that. And as far as why isn't this public knowledge? It ties right into why they don't teach a lot of these things.
The Egyptians did not do or build anything. The pyramids were there before they got there.
100%.
And that's when it was called Kemet.
Chem, exactly.
Yeah. The
So-
Egyptians did not build anything in Egypt. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yep. And I agree with that. So this theory is posing that the Agarthans are the architects of ancient Egypt with the advanced technology that they had built over tens of thousands of years.
Yeah.
Spiritually. And they were also in touch with the earth. They were able to move and shape stones with the sound.
Crazy.
And that's where the Jed come from ancient Egypt. These were teachings that were kept. And I think every city of Agartha played a role in society. I believe Egypt was actually a library. And I think they built all of this information into the structure of the pyramid.
Yeah.
Because of that reason. It was a way of saying this is where we store information. And just as a nod to that, we're going to store information about the earth, the cosmos, and the circumference of the earth and our distance to the moon. We're going to build that into the structure itself, into the place where we keep our hall of records, the known histories of earth since the beginning of our history.
So this giant civilization with all these different cities,
Yeah.
just like they said, Atlantis had multiple cities in and of itself.
Yeah.
So they all have, they're all connected, and basically Egypt was their library section.
I think so. And that's where the Hall of Records comes from. And where do I have any evidence that this might be the case?
Yeah, for real.
Is ancient Greeks, when they would travel, and this is post-flood, we're skipping ahead, but post-flood, ancient Greek philosophers traveled to Egypt, were shown the Hall of Records, and were shown records that were kept back 3 cataclysms ago,
Crazy.
before the Great Flood.
Yeah.
So these Agarthans, when they were forced underground, would have been because of the Great Flood. The Great Flood that took out their city in Atlantis, which we call Atlantis.
Yeah.
The Great Flood that caused them to need to restart civilization in in ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
And forced Agartha physically underground.
Okay, so that I have the timeline laid
Yeah.
out straight. Where did they start? They started as apes on top of Earth, roaming around.
I think it was just a group of people that joined together.
You don't think
and
there was any
started a
aliens
civilization.
potentially
No.
that came down and injected some DNA?
I don't think so. I think that
No,
I
feel
think
like that's something.
I think 51,000 years ago, humans were very similar to humans now, and we're very ingenuitive. We're very
Ingenuitive.
let's see, what's the word for that? Ambitious. We're very ambitious, and we are constantly inventing and trying to come up with new ideas for things and to make a task easier. And we're constantly looking to the stars and to science, and we just want to know more. Our thirst for knowledge. I can't see human beings being on this planet for 30,000 years and not make any strides forward until the end of the Ice Age.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting is in the ancient Chinese texts, it says that Agartha was forced underground, and at the same time, language was first found in Samaria. It would be the same time period. So the same time that Agartha disappears, the written word is invented above ground.
So what does that mean?
So I think not all Agarthans stayed underground.
Oh, okay.
So I think some went to Egypt, and it says it right on the walls in Egypt that the gods from the old world came after the flood, came to Egypt to restart that civilization, to get that city back up and running again. Agarthans would have stayed either underground or come up to the surface to try and restart civilization around the world, because they were an above ground people.
So we
until
have
the flood.
We have these apes. They become people, but maybe different ancestry. So because you said they're taller and they look different, so maybe different apes, maybe different.
Were they taller? We have a lot of evidence of giants.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know that, but we do know that any evidence of giants that we do have is hidden for some reason.
Yeah.
The records are lost. The fossils are lost.
So what if it is intervention from aliens or something else like that?
Well, we would need evidence of that, right? So I think that if we stick with humans with advanced technology, and there is a connection to height. So when a civilization thrives, they actually grow taller.
Weird.
That's based on food. That's based on resources.
I guess.
Relaxation. It's a proven fact, right? That during the Dark Ages, we had actually
Shortest we ever were.
Yeah, we were shorter by 7 inches on average. When we came out of that, we grew about 7 inches on average.
But that makes sense,
The Japanese
though, right? Yeah.
have grown immensely over the past 100 years or so. That their size, I think theirs is even bigger than 7. That their average size has grown more than 7. So imagine a civilization for 20,000 years.
Feet tall. I'm kidding. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, if you had a civilization for 20,000 years that was thriving spiritually, that had access to all kinds of spiritual medicine, they were healing themselves from the earth, not with chemicals, and that they had this advanced technology, they might have grown in stature and been an average height of 10 feet, or 12 feet. And then the tall ones could have been 16. But they are known as the gods, right? These people from this time, from this civilization, were considered to be gods of all of these other areas. So yes, height does play a factor, but I don't know if it's alien. It might have just been nourishment. The fact that they were able to, they weren't famine. There wasn't famine and plague and medical issues that they had.
They didn't have.
They were
issues
able to
that
just
we
have
had to deal with.
Yeah, they were able to have children, and those children were healthy.
Again, timeline. They evolve into human bipedal hominids of some kind, right? And then they start building. As opposed to us, their one main priority is spirituality. And becoming one with the world, one with the earth in this civilization. Then they start spreading out. They build Egypt. They build Atlantis. They build what else?
Angkor Wat, I think, is part of this old. I think that might have been their religious site. That might have been a pilgrimage location for them.
Egypt's the library,
exactly,
or the place to hold their knowledge. Which makes sense. And then Angkor Wat is their holy land where they.
I think it's a spiritual because the entire.
What place has the chair on top? Literally, you go.
That was a pyramid in Egypt.
Oh yeah.
But that could represent knowledge, right? Climbing to the height of a pyramid, the height of knowledge. The alignments with the stars, the mathematics built into the design. We don't see that in any other pyramids.
There's for sure knowledge in it.
But we see other pyramids. Why do those pyramids have so much knowledge built into them? Why is there a hall of records there that keeps all of the known history back to the beginning of Agartha? Because that's their library. That's where they keep it. Right? Agartha itself might be the first city, but that doesn't mean that's where you stay.
They'd never move.
Atlantis is a great spot, right? And now when you're dealing with other human beings that aren't spiritually as aware as you, they're greedy and they're violent. You have to worry about attacks, and you have to worry.
It makes sense that we even exist today because they were peaceful, because they could wipe us out easily.
Oh yeah.
But instead, they wanted to share knowledge and gift things to us.
Always.
And we saw them as godlike creatures.
Yes.
Okay. So they come to be. They create Angkor Wat. They create Egypt. They create Atlantis. And then
The Ice Age ends because of a cataclysm, massive flood, Egypt's in shambles.
So human beings, as we know them, us, our ancestors, we're roaming around.
We're out there, yeah.
Okay, and we see them as gods.
So yeah, well, we don't get there yet until post-flood.
Okay,
so before the flood, they're kind of their own civilization, and they're branching out.
But we were still around, right? And then we just got mostly wiped out during this flood.
Yeah, but what saved us from the flood? What is every ancient tribe, every Native American tribe, every ancient Asian group of ancient Hindu and that practices all the ancient religions we have in Mesopotamia, the Sumerians.
So
it's always the gods save them.
The Agarthans.
Yeah.
In this case.
They would have had the technology to do it. And I think they did. I think they said
they built
we can't
an ark, or they built something else, or they just said, hey, come underground here.
The Hopi and the Paiute said it was flying shields. They used flying shields to save everybody, to save animals, to save people, and to move them from place to place.
Okay.
They also invited them underground into these massive tunnel systems to live out generations until it was safe on Earth again.
So did they
on
have
the surface?
Did they have saucer-shaped craft?
Yeah,
perhaps
they were shields. Yeah, they called them flying shields.
Okay,
so those are probably the arcs.
Because you're claiming that all these things that we've discovered, and we'll get there.
Yeah,
like Roswell and such, we'll get there. So you're saying none of that stuff is extraterrestrial?
No.
So it's these Agarthans, I'm assuming.
It's Agarthans.
Okay, so flood happens,
which are also Atlanteans, which are also the gods of Egypt, of Chem, the
so
ancient Chem.
Toth was a Agarthan.
He could have been from Agartha, Atlantis. He could have been a native Egyptian that came back to restart, to rebuild his city. That
so
he used
flood
to live
happens.
In. Yeah.
These peaceful, spiritual beings, like, let's save some of these humans.
I think so.
Okay.
And not only that, I think they decide, okay, we kind of insulated ourselves. We built these places, and there's been these tribal people, human beings all over the world that are living without the rule of law, that are living without healthy food, that don't know how to grow their own, that don't know how to read or write or to. So I think after the flood, some of the Agarthans, when Agartha is pushed underground, they decide to stay there. And there's these ancient tunnel systems, and they could go underground, and they had this huge, vast tunnel system under the earth that allows them to come in and out of wherever they want on the surface, right? And they use those tunnel systems with the arcs, so the flying shields, to save people and to save animals, and to make sure that after the flood, the entire world wasn't destroyed, that it wasn't just them.
Which we have an episode on, literally Battle for Survival, the Ark.
Yeah, and so the Ark was probably their advanced technology. Now, the Hopi people and the Paiute people, they say that it was the ant people that saved them, that they looked different than us. Yeah. What are the odds that an alien from a different civilization in another galaxy with a different size planet with 2 suns and cataclysms every 5,000 years would look anything like us? What if it's mostly a water planet? Why would they evolve why would they be evolved apes?
Or what if, like,
doesn't make sense.
Instead of being oxygen based, they're like
nitrogen or anything,
helium based.
Yeah.
What do those little things look like?
Right. It doesn't make much sense that they would look like us. But in all of these abduction cases and all of these cases of the gods that ruled in the ancient world, they look like us.
Yeah.
They're taller, they're healthier, they're stronger, they're bigger, they have magic, which is technology that we don't understand at the time, so we call it magic. But I think that after the flood,
so they're taller, so they're giants.
Yeah. So we've talked about giants, but why would we keep giants a secret, right? Why is that a secret? Why is so we called them gods, and out of calling them gods came religion. I think that some Agarthans came to the surface and started amassing these groups of tribal people and starting civilizations with them because they were looked at as gods. I think that some of them wanted that it wasn't just a philanthropic expedition.
We're here just to help because we're nice people.
It might be because they wanted to be they wanted, because you could start fire and you could show them how to farm, and you give them the rules. You don't kill, you don't steal, you don't hurt other people, you don't. These are the rules of society. In order for us to thrive, there has to be rules. There has to be food. We need time. We need leisure time too. So we have to find a way to make it so that we're not fighting for survival every day. We need structures to keep us safe, and we need to build these cities. And the architecture is all the same architecture from these ancient cities from before the flood. So these ancient cities and these ancient architects, after the flood, some of them don't go down into the hollow earth and don't live out their time there. They come to the surface where they show their technology, and it looks like magic, and they use it to rule. And that's where we get kings from. That's where we get this idea that there needs to be some king who is of the lineage of a god that can. And how did these gods mate with human beings? That can't happen unless they are human beings,
have the same,
right?
Similar lineage,
right?
Yeah.
You can't mix cross species like that.
Episode 66, dude.
Yeah, so the tech of the ancients, exactly. So after the flood, we get to see these normal tribal people are amassed into these cities. They're given tasks. Carry this there, put this there. We're going to build this. They already know what they're building because they've built these things before, and then they start. At the same time that these ancient texts say that Agartha goes underground, they start civilization. That's when civilization truly begins in Samaria. The oldest text that we have starts in Samaria. So the timing is just too coincidental for me. The idea that they could mate with human beings
doesn't make sense
wild.
Unless we have.
Why do they
DNA.
look like us?
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
So let's pause this for a second.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
Because it is episode 100. And so there is a lot of stuff that we have covered, a lot of cool stuff that we've gotten into.
Yeah.
What would you say is one of your favorite episodes that we've done thus far?
Oh, that's a tough one.
It doesn't have to be
the
number one. What's one of your favorites?
My favorite is, and we have a thumbnail for it, is the alien reproduction vehicles. I love that episode because we talk about these secret black budget programs to recreate the technology that we've been finding.
Do we have it on here?
Yeah. Okay, it's further up.
Further up?
There it was.
Down.
Yeah, you passed it.
This is it?
No, next one down. Go on. No, you passed. You're going the wrong way.
Oh, okay.
Hey, after that one. There it is.
Oh, this one?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is one of your favorite episodes. Episode 28.
Yeah.
Okay, and why is this one of your favorites?
Just because I love that topic. The idea that this was solved, that post World War II, we figured out anti-gravity technology, and that we've been hiding it, and that we have it, we just don't use it. And there's probably a lot of reasons for that.
My head's exploding.
And we talk about it in that show, in that episode. We talk about why we think, who has it, first of all, how did they figure it out? And why do they keep it secret? It's all in that episode. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
I do love the Men in Black episode, which we actually have also up here. But because one of my favorite bits comes out of that. The one it's in the streaming soon.
Yeah, it's fun. Where they go and do the magic tricks.
They do close-up magic to try and convince them that they're real. So this was one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites was the medieval times ones. We talked about how it was to live as a commoner, as a king.
Yeah.
That was a fun episode.
Yeah.
And we have the great King Arthur bit that we did in that. That was so fun.
I like the Great Warrior episode where we talk about the greatest warriors of all time.
From today to the ancient history.
Yeah. Musashi, the guy who learned how to use 2 samurai swords. He was like the first to do it.
Most badass.
And he killed so many people, but then wrote a book. He went into a mountain and wrote a book on the art of basically warfare for that time period. Yeah. And it still translates today if you change the weapons.
Speaking really of, cool. And we talked about John Jones in that episode, who I think is pound for pound the greatest fighter alive. I think if you put John Jones in a room with any other human being on this planet, I think he's the one walking out.
Probably, yeah.
He's the baddest mother trucker there is. And we also talk about him in our sports conspiracies episode, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I still think that the O.J. Simpson story in there is the greatest thing ever. I wish there was a way to like redo that even so that it's more modern. because that was before the studio. I think that was an old episode.
Yeah, Given Life said my favorite episode is when I joined the chat. Yeah, remember when he called in?
Yeah.
But they mated with humans easy.
Yeah.
They just threw a Diddy party.
Yeah, a lot of Diddy
What's
parties.
wrong with this guy?
That's what's crazy. So these gods, they were able to mate with humans, but they created demigods.
Yeah.
And these demigods were tall like them, strong like them, and they knew the secrets of wherever they were from. So
real quick, favorite segment that you've had or that I've done, just one of your favorite segments that we've done.
Ooh.
That OJ one's up there. I know that.
Yeah.
Where you think you solved the OJ case. What's another one, real quick?
Well, we have all the evidence. We showed the video evidence of it. I mean,
him telling
it's not
that
even
story
a thing.
to that reporter's
yeah,
crazy.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
How has everybody not seen that?
Yeah, we even show the guy who talks about his brother admitting to doing it. We have his brother's serial killing record. He was a serial killer. We can prove he was there at the time. We can prove he lived nearby, that he worked for them as a handyman, that he would go hang out with OJ after hours at parties.
Yeah.
And so if you wanted somebody to beat some guy up that was hitting on your girl, maybe you call this handyman that owes you.
The question is, why wouldn't OJ just go and say, it's this guy, not me?
He was there.
Because he was there.
Yeah, he was part of it.
So he would just get as much time as
He
the
was
other
trying,
guy would.
exactly. He was
So
trying to
he's
completely
like,
separate himself
what do
from
I
the
have
situation.
a better chance of saying, I was never there? And look, this fucking isn't my glove, bro. It doesn't fit.
Right?
You know, like,
it's true.
Is that the route I go? Or do
Yeah.
I say this guy was there and then he just folds?
too hard,
And what are the odds of him folding and say, nah, he fucking
He's still
hired me to
getting
do
time.
it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
no
saying.
matter what.
And now you're
Yeah.
fucked. Now you're guaranteed screwed.
Yeah. If anything, it's premeditated now because he called a guy to come help him do it. And yeah, it's you have to either say you weren't there at all.
Yeah.
Or go to jail. And
But
he
I
chose not to go to jail.
I think he made a smart choice as far as who. Yeah, let me go solo and see if I can. See if I can fight this and win. So and then real quick, dude, I think the Simpsons one was good, where we talked about all the Simpsons predictions.
Yeah.
The Black Plague one, talking about CERN. We've talked about everything, man.
Yeah.
We really have. If you go
CERN's
through,
good.
it's just the time slips episode was
Yeah.
freaking great. Even talking about the mimic ghost, that was a blast.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. So let's dive back into this.
Okay.
So let me just make sure I'm caught up here.
And yeah, so Toth called himself an Atlantean. Given Life says, which is true. So we have a lot of evidence, and so did
What did
the
Chase say?
hieroglyphs in Egypt say that they came from this sunken city to Egypt to restart Egypt. That Egypt was already there. The pyramids were already there. That there was already the bones of a city, and all they did was put it back together.
Hold on.
The gods.
Chase is talking crazy.
Yeah.
He said Khabib would walk out of the room over John Jones, probably. That's a really good match. Mm-hmm. It's crazy to say. Khabib, yes. Is he amazing? Yes. Is he undefeated? Yes. So is John Jones. Yes, he has the one loss against Matt Hamill because he did a 12-6 elbow. And the only reason they banned 12-6 elbows is because they saw in like karate how the guys break bricks with the... So stupid.
Right.
So that's banned, but slicing elbows isn't, which you can literally generate more force.
If you can't elbow, then it's not fun anymore.
Well, no, just you can't do a 12-6, just straight down. You can't do those. You can.
No,
do
I'm saying you
elbows.
can't ban all elbows, so they had to leave
don't.
some in. Yeah. Otherwise, that's not really fighting anymore.
No, but even banning that is crazy. So he got DQ'd for that. So John Jones really has never lost. So we're talking about two undefeated fighters.
Yeah.
But I think the deciding factor, John Jones just won the heavyweight belt before he had to vacate it because he injured himself. But
yeah, we talked about
in
this.
the first round.
Yeah.
He beat Cyril Gane in the first round.
We showed it.
And he never fought heavyweight before. He was always the GOAT at one.
What episode is that? The
205.
Warriors episode, right?
Greatest Warriors
Yeah.
episode.
So yeah, check that out.
Yeah,
it has
but,
the actual video.
Here's my argument to that. Khabib fights at 155. John Jones fights at heavyweight. Lightweight versus heavyweight, I mean, he's just going to overpower him. That's why there's weight classes.
Yeah.
Khabib would walk out of a room with anybody other than John Jones, though. I'll say that. I'll give you that.
Okay.
Anyone other than John Jones. But anyway, he was talking crazy in the chat, and I couldn't let it fly. But
That's okay. Yeah.
all right. So Agarthians.
Yeah, so by
Atlantis.
So post flood, these guys, some of the Agarthians and some of the Atlanteans, people that are still, or some of these gods that we started to call them, who were bigger than us and stronger than us and had better technology than us.
Yeah.
The Ark of the Covenant, we've talked about that. We've talked about wireless electricity in Egypt, and we have an episode about it, and we have a thumb for that. And I'm not diving into these topics for a reason. We have episodes that
have full episodes about them.
Deep dive on all this stuff. But I'm kind of giving you the basic groundwork of how this theory, how we follow this theory. But if you want to show, we have that pyramid episode. Check that one out. That's
Which one?
The wireless pyramids, wireless electricity of the pyramids.
Oh, yeah. This one here. Where's she at? Boom.
Yeah.
The greatest ancient mystery. Finally solved.
So they definitely had some technology that they didn't invent. It came from this advanced society. So now...
Again, look at me. Dude, my mind just gets blown every episode. I'm like, what? What?
Yeah, so if we get post-flood, so now if we're post-flood now, this society, these Agarthans have had, because they survived the Cataclysm, not just survived it, being forced to go underground and having an underground city or underground tunnel system all over the world allowed them to thrive underground and continue advancements in technology, continue advancements in healthcare and spirituality. The Dalai Lama and the monks of Tibet say they get their power directly from Agartha, that they connect to them spiritually, that the Dalai Lama speaks directly to the master, who is the leader of the Agartha
The Dalai
people.
Lama said that?
Yeah. Every Dalai Lama, because he's reincarnated. They would have mastered reincarnation.
The current Dalai Lama said that?
All of them say it. That's the lore. That's what they believe. That's
while kissing boys with their tongue and shit. He's such a creep.
Tibetan monks. I've seen them meditate and float off the ground. I've seen them light things on fire.
Yeah.
I've seen them puncture holes in paper from across the room.
Electrocute people.
You use electricity for healing, but it can also electrocute
Zap you good. Good
so
like.
These are all and telepathy. This leads into Stargate, Project Stargate, where we're able to see mentally places that we have never been, or the really good ones, what's it called, where you can, a remote viewing. The really good remote viewers can actually go to an enemy base, walk in and open a file cabinet and pull out a file and read it
Which
to you.
we've discussed in episodes before.
So they would have mastered all of these things, and this would have all come through meditation and peace. Agartha meaning peace. Shambhala, Shangri-La, this is all the same place.
We're literally tying together almost all of our episodes.
Right.
So real quick on here, I saw, where did it? I'm seeing this.
Yep.
Earth has a reset button. I'm assuming that's the Younger Dryas we talked about.
Yeah, so we talked about the flood period. We have an episode about the Younger Dryas impact itself. What's the proof? We have geological evidence of when it happened, how it happened, and how they survived it, how the people around the world say they survived it. These are primitive people that weren't part of the Agarthan or Atlantean civilizations. These were tribal people, nomadic hunter-gatherers that were brought into the fold post-flood. And you can learn more about that on that episode.
And then we've talked about the Ark. So these saved human beings.
Yeah.
Secrets of the Vatican. Are we jumping too far ahead?
Yeah. So this is a little bit further down, but
okay.
So now we go post-flood. So they've
Post-flood.
had 40,000 years of dialing in, and evolution. Some of the hominids that aren't Homo sapien, that have been part of the Agarthan civilization, that would have went underground, they would look different than us, and they would have had tens of thousands of years of evolution to become smarter, to become more adept, to become
smarter.
And they would have access to the technology of the Agarthans, as I imagine everything there is shared technology. That healthcare is all shared. That spirituality is something that connects all of them together. So that accounts for why abductees see different types of beings when it happens. And what are abductees always saying is going on? They're taking blood samples. They're taking blood samples, DNA samples, egg samples. They want to kind of see where the human anatomy is.
So why would they care about that stuff if these are humans?
Well,
different types of humans.
So evolution underground, I don't know what changes when you have to live underground like that? Do your eyes get bigger to adjust to the darkness? Is that where that comes from? A lot of these Mesoamerican tribes, when they would shape their heads to elongate their skulls, it was because the gods had that shape of a skull. So are some of these people, is that an effect of evolution of a different type of hominid that had 40,000 years of uninterrupted peace?
It's always bumping your head when
Yeah.
you live underground. It's always bumping your head, so it starts to grow.
What causes us to? What are our setbacks up here? Why don't we have all of this amazing technology? Why aren't we 40,000 years ahead? Because we have suffered the cataclysms, because we do have war, and because
I was going to say
peace
we
isn't our focus.
would destroy each other.
We keep destroying each other. We keep burning the history of our past. We keep destroying knowledge, Alexandria, or we keep it hidden.
Yeah,
and
you know what's the best example of that? It's crazy. Is Las Vegas itself, the city that we reside in. As soon as a building gets old, they don't say, "Oh, look at the history within." Elvis used to perform here. No, they tear it down and build a new structure. Like we don't care. They don't care about history here at all. If it's old, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Build something new. Mirage. They're just that just closed down.
Every empire is destroyed, and then their culture and their history and everything that they knew, whether that's medical breakthroughs or technological breakthroughs, is burned. It's destroyed so that whoever conquered them, it replaces it with their
so if you were
dogma.
an Agarthan, and you had to have a role, what do you think you would be? You'd be a teacher? You think you'd be a bricklayer? What do you think your job would be?
I would think it would have something to do with preserving the history. I would like to be an ambassador, searching for people on the surface that might be ready to accept this history of ours. I would want the history to be known. I would want that. I would want people to know what's really can be accomplished when everybody's at peace.
You sound a little Jonestown Koresh type to me.
I wouldn't start a cult. I would want people to know, hey, if you have world peace, this is what's possible. Look what we've been able to do because of our peace. Because of uninterrupted peace, we have vehicles that bend space-time. We can travel the cosmos if we want to. We can travel the Earth in seconds whenever we want. We can disappear, reappear. We can heal any disease. They live for hundreds of years in Agartha. The Agarthans don't die. They've cured death in Agartha. That is part of the history, that they don't die. They live forever.
GL said, OJ not guilty. And then he said, flying through space too fast. That's how they...
got the long heads, right?
Oh, that's
so, and a lot of people have issues.
If I was a part of their civilization,
with that.
I would have been a warrior, just like the dreams I still have when I was a giant.
There you go,
craze
warrior giant. So you'd be on the surface.
So what would I be? What would my role be?
I don't know. I was about to ask you. What do you think?
I'd be an entertainer of some kind.
Okay,
not like a jester. Why'd you say that?
I didn't. Oh. But. I wonder what their entertainment would be. Yeah, what's their type of entertainment?
So I would meditate, right? And then I'd be like, we'd all be like watching like, cool stuff, right? And then I'd throw in little like gag reels, like right? That's what I would do.
Well, with uninterrupted peace and all your wants and needs are taken care of, it makes it hard to create like real entertainment.
No, that's what you need. So I would do like one-man shows, but it wouldn't be one-man show. I would just play all the characters, right? And that's how I'd entertain people. I'd be like, hey.
I think they would come up to the surface for our entertainment.
No,
I think they would be entertained by us.
I would be like, as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. They'd be like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I'd be like, my name is, I'm Ray Liotta.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, that's so fucking cool. It's crazy. And I remember when I met Jimmy Conway, right? And then I'd be like, hi, my name's Jack Dawson. I have an accent for some reason, and I fell in love with this beautiful young rich woman named fucking Rose.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, dude, this is a crazy story. And we were on a ship and I held her hands and she felt like she was flying. See, I would steal all of Earth's like greatest works, right?
Right.
I'm Romeo. Here's Juliet. And they'd be like, dude, these fucking guys are genius.
Yeah.
that'd be my role.
Yeah.
I'd be a thief.
I guess,
I would
yeah.
steal art. I'd be a plagiarist.
Yeah, assuming that they don't already do that, they might bring entertainment from the surface down there, or they might just keep an eye on it, or that they might go on expeditions.
What do you think
to
they
the
would think of
surface.
like Jersey Shore and shit though? They'd be like, no.
No, yeah,
They're
I think
not
that's
getting
I think that's what's
interpiece.
holding us back. Honestly,
Yeah,
is that kind of thing. I do.
Oh, we were about to go show them the key to the universe.
Yeah.
But then Snooki happened.
Yeah, you think? What about the Dark Ages? So you imagine what they would have thought watching human beings like tearing each other apart, and it's the coldest it's ever been, and there's famine, and but you can't invite them to your civilization because of their natural need to be greedy and violent.
You try to give them like inner peace and all this. They're like, yeah, but the Dow's down 2%, and if I invest in this, I can be like. They want material wealth,
Right, and that's what's holding, I think, the surface back, and that's why we're not where they are. Is they have uninterrupted peace.
Okay, so
yeah,
spaceships.
yeah,
They built spaceships
yeah,
thousands of years ago,
yeah.
and so Roswell was what?
So we know that archaeological digs have uncovered spacecraft. We know that from the Germans before World War II, and the Vatican kept that a secret.
So how do we know that then?
Because it was part of the files that were uncovered through the UAP task force, and then Grush blew the whistle on it.
Grush said that and said that the Vatican has access to it?
Yeah, that it was the Vatican that after World War II, when the Germans lost, the Allied forces came in and they were gathering up technology and scientists from Germany, right, during Project Paperclip. That the Vatican came to them and said, this is something that you should see. They had this, and it might have been what pushed them that direction to create technology that mimicked that. Why did, what was at the core, what did Germany believe in World War II? They believed that there was some master race of people underground that were special, that didn't die, that had advanced technology, that could destroy entire countries with the technology they had.
Is that what they believe?
And that same technology, which was the ether, could power propulsion systems for vehicles.
Yeah.
This is stuff that was being said in the 1700s. So this is where he got that information. These ancient texts, or not ancient, but these texts from the 17 and 1800s, books that were written by people who had interacted with Agarthans. They said they have electricity and data that travels over glass, bendable glass. That's fiber optics. They said that 200 years before fiber optics was invented.
Oh, you think they were referring to glass?
I'm
sorry, fiber optics?
Yes, that's what that is.
Bendable glass.
They said we move electricity.
Would I describe that? I know. I'd be like, dude, it's like noodles with light going through.
No,
it.
they just told them we move electricity and information through bendable glass. That's what he told them. So this guy writes it in his book because after the Agarthans stopped teaching him, at one point he cut off ties with this guy, probably because he didn't pass the test. He was probably too human. His human nature was apparent that he couldn't.
So
he wasn't ready.
What if it's like chicken versus the egg? Which came first? So did somebody read, oh, it looked like glass and it was coming through, and then so somebody built something that ended up being fiber optics that looked like it, or did they just steal the idea, or were they just gifted that exact thing?
So this ties to Roswell. Okay, so uninterrupted 40,000 years of uninterrupted technology growth. They have flying shields 12,000 years ago that can traverse the cosmos, right? So they already have this technology, and they've learned how to use it. They say it's powered by the ether, the same thing that gives them knowledge, the same thing that they tap into when they meditate, the same thing that gives them eternal life. They are able to tap into this ether, and it also works as the propulsion systems for their craft, okay?
All right.
So in the 40s, after World War II, we actually get a front row seat of this technology in modern day, and that is the Roswell crash. And it was caused by, we've talked about on the show before, by our intervention. We caused an EMP to take those crafts down. So before... Unintentionally, well, it depends on... some people think that we saw it as Russian invaders and we took them down intentionally. Yep. Some people think it was an unintentional.
Wait, was it a nuclear test or we set off an EMP?
So the nuclear test brought them there, I think. It
Okay,
was the
yeah,
EMP that brought them down.
That brought them down.
Yeah.
Got it.
And when we got the wreckage of that crash, we saw a couple things that we never thought of before. One of them was the transistor. The other was fiber optics.
And then we roll over one of the aliens and he has like a Haynes logo. Like, wait, what the fuck? He's not an alien at all.
Well, yeah. Well, no, but you asked which came first, chicken or the egg?
I just like the idea of
Fiber optics is said to have came from the Roswell crash.
Look,
That's
it's a Fruit of the Loom logo, but it has the cornucopia.
Yeah, I think that's tied to this too. Honestly, Mandela effects is definitely tied to this. I think it's the misuse of this technology. But yeah, so if we want to fast forward now to the 40s, we get a piece of their technology. We learn about fiber optics. We learn about anti-gravitics, and we learn about transistors, and we start moving.
So how do we learn about it? An ambassador from Agartha comes up.
We start reverse engineering this stuff.
Oh, after Roswell. Okay.
Yeah.
We find the
crash
look at this.
wreckage. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Let's get some brilliant minds to
And that's when the Men in Black start. That's when the government starts stepping in and hiding this truth from people, that there is something with technology far beyond ours that is visiting this planet, that is in our airspace. And we do a Men in Black episode of who we think the Men in Black really are.
Boom, episode
and
40.
what they're trying to do.
60 episodes ago, my boy.
Yeah.
The jet plane, Given Life said, the jet plane Germany built back in the day had fiber optics. Ooh, curious stuff.
Yeah, that's wild.
Curious.
Maybe a form of it. I just know that, fiber optics wasn't invented yet. Let's see.
Well, then that's
fiber
his
optics.
point.
I think came around in the 80s.
That's what he's saying, though. That's the impressive.
I know
part.
that we were able to build fiber optic networks in the 90s, so it had to have, maybe the 70s is probably, because DARPA probably had it in the 60s or 70s.
DARPA.
But I don't remember it being around in the 40s. That would be really advanced. And
Well, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, it could come because they did have a down craft. They had one of these vehicles. And that one I think was from an archaeological dig. So if these things have been around for a while, it would make sense that this ancient civilization would have craft that would have been destroyed during the flood in some of these cities where they had them. Okay. So that makes sense to me.
Okay.
So why are we hiding this, though? So at first, nobody's thinking aliens, right? That wasn't like what we thought. It wasn't until we saw that this technology and their physical characteristics were different than ours that we started thinking these must be
extraterrestrial.
Something else, but their physical characteristics, the more you think about it, don't point to extraterrestrial. They point to...
No, they're way too similar. They're bipedal.
Sort of cousin,
Yeah, they have... Their lips are in the same place. Their eyes are in the same place.
Yeah.
Their fucking ears, fingers. Like, doesn't make sense.
And what have they evolved?
Weird.
Yeah, what are those changes to their anatomy giving them? What are they helping them to acclimate to?
Because if they're traversing the cosmos at light speed or beyond, looking like a human and having like organs would be the most inefficient fucking thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
They would be a puddle of goo or they'd be air.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't be what?
Well, I think I don't know if they're affected while they're in the craft by any of that. I think that it is, and we've hypothesized this before based on other testimony and Lou Elizondo's book, that they create this pocket around the craft that protects them from inertia. Yeah. It even bends space-time. So they essentially have the ability to travel through time using these craft. Because of that, they're able... I think there was a scientist that did the math on this, that if you were able to go the speed of light, you could go from the edge of the universe to the center of the universe in about 22 years in the craft, if by bending space-time. But for Earth, we would have gone about 100,000 years. So it would be 100,000.
What do you mean we would have gone 100,000?
22 years for them in the craft, 100,000 years for us on Earth.
To what?
Due to time dilation.
Go from the edge of space?
Yeah. So if we were to say, let's say we had a spacecraft now that bends space-time. Okay. And we send them on a mission out into the center of the universe. We say, go there. Yeah. By the time they get there, we would already have technology so much better than what we sent them with that we would beat them there. They would show up and there would already be other humans there that said, hey, you guys, what took you so long? Because so much time would have passed here and advancements in technology would be so far ahead of when they left that we would beat them to the punch. Isn't that wild to think about? Because 100,000 years here, we're ahead 100,000 years in technology too. Took them 22 years. By the time they get there, we're 100,000 years more advanced than when they left.
So
we would probably be
completely different.
Yeah, we'd probably just teleport there and be like, "Hey, you're late.
We teleport in their ship."
Yeah. So
we're there and here at the same time.
Yeah. So dude, these spacecraft have the ability to do some wild things based on witnesses, right?
Yeah. And USOs we just talked about last week. The craziest shit.
Yeah, exactly.
They go underwater.
Why do they go underwater? Exactly. What's underwater? What's in the mountains? What's out in the middle of nowhere near cave systems? Home. I think they're home.
Tunnels to their home.
Exactly. I think they live underground. They come up and they need resources on the surface just like we do.
Yeah.
So they send up little missions to do those. To go get things. Whenever they're engaged, they run, they hide, they try and get away. They don't fight.
Oh, Mariana's Trench. You mean my patio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes sense to me that they're still here in that civilization underground. And there was a prophecy thousands of years ago that when we were spiritually enlightened enough, they would rise to the surface and make themselves known. What does that sound like? It sounds like the teachings of Jesus, that at some point there's a prophecy that when the world is enlightened enough, he will come back, right? That there's going to be this second coming of this enlightened being. Some people hypothesize that Jesus was part of some other group
Tread
of
lightly.
That's what I'm trying to think of what it is that he could have been.
So easy now here.
If he traveled to Egypt, like we know, we have records that he went to India and that he went to Egypt and learned about their ancient ways. Ancient India would have taught him about the Agarthans and these ancient Veda texts that teach him about healing.
This is assuming that he's not the
spirituality.
son of God or part of the Holy Trinity.
No, well, even if he was, he went on this spiritual journey and learned all these things.
Well,
And
you can't teach God shit, you know?
Well,
can teach
why?
Because he knows everything.
Well, if he's born as a man, he's able to be killed like one, right? Yeah. So he would still have to learn things. He can be in contact. Maybe he was able to contact the ether, and it gave him extra knowledge. But there is a lot of evidence that he was taught a lot of what he was teaching.
Sure.
That
there's
mirrored.
also some religions who just go by the Old Testament, and they're like, he was never the Messiah. And once the Messiah does come to earth, that will be the end of time.
Do you know where the Old Testament says the Garden of Eden is?
Inner earth.
It does.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah. So Kabbalah, the more mystical side of Judaism, they 100% believe Eden is currently underground and that you can go there. That there is a underground peaceful civilization at the Garden of Eden, and then it's underground. Yeah. So every continent believes this, and all of ancient
Antarctica,
the ancient tribes, they all thought the underworld was heaven. They didn't think it was. It wasn't until later on that we started considering the underworld to be this horrible hell-like place. It was always actually heaven on earth. It was underground.
Oh, heaven is a place, inner earth.
Right.
What a clever caption. Should we show the audience again? I think so. But go on. I just want to show them our clever caption. So alien reproduction
right now is New Atlantis is in Earth. Yes, I think the survivors of Atlantis and their other cities are still in Earth. They are in Hollow Earth. There is a city, whether you want to call it Shambhala, Shangri-La, Agartha, and these might be different territories within Hollow Earth, as some maps have depicted, and these maps are supposedly from people that have been there and passed this knowledge along. The ancient Tibetan the Tibetan monks of today believe that they're speaking with Agartha and with Agarthans when they meditate. It gives them the ability to speak to each other at long distance through meditation. The Dalai Lama directly speaks to the master of Agartha. He rules over it and makes sure everything stays nice and peaceful. And
what if these Tibetan monks or whatever, they're tapping into the Akashic records.
Yeah.
And they're just talking to inner Earth, baby. They're talking to the.
That's what they say they are doing. Yeah.
Oh, well,
that's what they believe.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And
that's where they get their power from. It's years of learning how to harness that ether and tap into it. That gives them the ability to heal with electricity or to burn things with their hands, to set fire. That's where they get that ability. So Project Stargate starts in the 60s.
How do they build this amazing technology all underground?
Well, the technology is probably 40,000 years old.
That's crazy.
They've been perfecting it since then, I'm sure. But once you figure out the saucer shape is the best shape for an anti-gravitic design that can pull electricity out of the ether, so it's perpetual energy for free that has no carbon footprint, and it can take you anywhere and bend space-time. What do you need to advance?
So you think... Yeah, I guess.
Where do you go from there? And that's why I think they're so advanced. Is they're not worried about the small things. They've always been focused on the important things. They don't sit on TikTok all day. They didn't figure out a way to communicate better on a phone, right? They communicate the way they communicate. They focused all of their technology and all of their thought into the betterment of their civilization.
It's crazy to think if you have two species very similar, and one goes the route of greed and power as their prime directive.
Yeah.
And then you have one that just cares about spirituality. They're not trying to battle, fight, become kings or queens.
No, in fact, it's forbidden.
And then to see where they go. So we're up here living our best lives on TikTok, and they're down there. I know we live in Earth. We never get to see the sun.
Maybe they do. I don't know what it's like down there, but it can't be horrible. Not if they stay there for 40, 50,000 years. Yeah. There's got to be.
They have to be so nice to not just wipe us out, because they're like, or just live side by side with us.
Well, I think that's why they monitor nuclear power stations. I think that's why they monitor our nuclear weapons.
That isn't aliens, that's humans.
Right, dude. Okay. Why would aliens care about this planet? You know what's so funny? People are always like, the reason aliens are protecting us or looking after us is because we're special. Our planet's special. It's not.
No, yeah, for sure not.
Tens of thousands of Earth-like planets have been identified with all of our different, with these satellites we've been throwing up there. We found so many planets just like ours.
We're
not
actually
special.
sort of the worst.
Yeah, we're not that special. So
we're
it's
like
not
the
about
worst.
preserving the planet unless this is their planet. That's why they would want to preserve it. They wouldn't want us to destroy it because they live here. They don't want us to set nukes off
Why do they
above ground.
stay here then if there's dozens of planets that are similar to Earth?
Because they do believe, as they always have since the beginning, they believe in they are human. They believe in their kind. They believe that we can get there. That through
they're just patient AF.
Imagine their civilization was growing above ground for 30, 40,000 years. Now they've had another 20,000 years underground. I'm just saying.
Okay, so Chase said the famous video game used Agartha. I don't know what famous video as a storyline location for its zombies mode. Didn't know there was a real lore behind it. What game?
I don't know.
Zombie mode?
There's a real mode. There's Agartha's
Black Ops.
Oh, what about if you've ever played Uncharted? You go to Shambhala. Yeah, you look for the entrance of Shambhala. Where is it? In the Himalayan mountains. And Tibetan monks are charged with actually protecting the entrance. How many people? There's been so many expeditions to find it, and they say where it is. That there is an old monastery deep in the snow in the mountains. That is the entrance to Shambhala.
Yeah.
That you can get there. It's guarded and nobody comes back. The couple people, there were American spies that were actually sent on an expedition to Agartha to try and see if they could find this place. And they came back and they said they did.
Did Gio just say P. Diddy got charged?
Yeah, that happened today.
No way.
Yeah.
He's guilty?
Charged.
Oh, so he got the charges.
Holding him, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. And then, he said Call of Duty Zombies. That's what I figured. Had Shangri-La, it had Shangri-La as a map to play and Agartha as a map. Oh, I remember that. This is such an interesting episode.
I'm glad you like it. Yeah.
It's hard to take all this information and put it into one cohesive.
It is, and so now I want to get to the secrecy of it all.
Yeah.
So now,
why isn't this common knowledge? Why isn't every school teaching this?
Right.
Why isn't every politician talking about?
Yeah.
And hopefully the Agarthans will come up and love our. Why?
Right.
Why? Who's keeping it secret and why?
So Eastern religions,
and when did it start?
Have always known
secrecy?
about this and believe in it. They talk about Agartha as if it is a real place. To them, it is not a myth. That they know that it's there. These Eastern religions. Yeah. In the West, we didn't start learning about it until we started going out into the world and learning about other cultures, right? Okay. So Westerners learned about it around when we started traveling around the planet on boats, 1700s. In the 1700s,
it's so recent.
Westerners, yeah, it is. It's crazy. Started learning about, wait, there's this whole, and their ancient texts go back thousands of years, and their oral histories go back tens of thousands of years before that. And this is what they believe. Yeah. And it was in the 1700s that an ambassador from Inner Earth came to the West and spoke to a Frenchman, and Soniev was his name, and actually told him the whole story of Agartha, the language they spoke,
to a Frenchman?
how they've evolved differently over time. Well, this is the 1700s; they would have been a major superpower, and how there's different species down there that have evolved over time. Some of them look differently. Some of them evolved. Imagine creatures that have been able to evolve, that have been around spirituality for tens of thousands of years. Some of them don't look like us. Some of them have evolved from, I hate to say it, but reptiles. That there are reptilian beings of some sort that live amongst the Agarthans. That there are.
You're saying lizard people are real?
He did. He told them that they were. That they've actually developed two tongues so they can speak two languages simultaneously.
That's silly, and that's not how tongues work.
Isn't that funny, though?
A forked tongue, because
it might be...
They speak
no.
Spanish here.
They evolved two tongues, and they can speak two languages simultaneously. And
parcel tongue?
How much of this is his interpretation of what because he's learning a new language while trying to write this down, right? So this is his interpretation of what he's being told. A lot gets lost
in translation.
But fiber optics was talked about in that conversation a couple hundred years before it was invented.
Dude, the two tongues thing is crazy. There's a band called Two Tongues, which is sort of...
Nuclear powers discussed. They discuss the ability to destroy entire countries with the atom. So there is things a couple centuries before we even figured it out that he's taught about that these people have in Agartha. And so this is the 1700s. In the 1800s, there's this big rise in the occult, and the fascination with the occult. Yeah. And this goes through into the 1900s. And
Speaking
this
of,
is where...
Didn't Agatha House of Harkness, or whatever the fuck it's called,
yeah, it's supposed to be out soon. Yeah.
I think it already came out.
Yeah, so then maybe today.
Who cares, though, right?
Oh, no, it looks good. It's a Halloween show, and it's Halloween time. I love that stuff.
Oh, you care?
Dude, it's so good. The trailer looks amazing.
Watch it.
Yeah.
It already came out.
I assume they would do a Friday the 13th release. They didn't, so I don't know if it's out yet or not. So they missed the chance to do a Friday the 13th release. That's all I
When was it Friday
weird.
the 13th?
This past Friday. Friday the 13th.
The 13th?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I thought that would have been cool if they released it then. But anyway.
By the way, it was just on Monday was our... yesterday was our 2-year anniversary. We started this channel September 16th, 2022.
Yeah, 2 years.
What is episode 100? Yeah. 2-year anniversary.
Yep.
2 years of doing this shit straight up, boy, every week.
Yeah, that's wild, man. It's wild. It's a long time. So for a couple hundred years in recent times, they were trying to come up and talk to people and academics, even people that they think would understand. And they saw that mankind wasn't there yet. And so they said, well, eventually you will be ready. In the meantime, though, they keep tabs on us. So once we got a hold of their technology, what would be such an insane secret that the government is still hiding something from the 40s today, that they're still afraid of some secret getting out? Aliens is not that scary anymore. That's not something that would shock you.
Other than people living under our feet for thousands of years.
So if they came out and said, actually, there's a full society, of thousands of people living underground that have the ability to not only invade our airspace, but wipe us out should they decide to, right? They have technology that is so far beyond anything we can understand, and they're here. They're not coming and going. Yeah. They're here.
And they're staying.
And they're taking
below
people.
Your feet.
They abduct people.
I think the most reasonable response would be...
Yeah, that's a secret worth keeping, right? Yeah. And once world governments got big enough and the world starts to get smaller, eventually you're going to be found out. These Agarthans are going to be found out.
So Eastern religions and those people, they've known about these Agarthans, and they're like, oh, cool beings. Yep. We've known about Tina coming in with the donation. What a lovely. She said, bravo, bravo, bravo.
Nice. But yeah, I think that's a secret worth keeping. At that point, that's a little bit more frightening. And calling them non-human intelligence is the greatest misinformation of all time, right? Yeah. Because now we're never thinking that there is another country on this planet that is way beyond anything we can conceive, right?
There's an 8th continent.
Yeah, and so eventually we would come across them. We came across them in Antarctica, and we did an Admiral Byrd episode.
Yes, we did. Yep. But like I was saying, Eastern religions, they've known about it, and they're like, oh, we talk to these guys all the time, brother. Yeah. But then we start learning about it, and we're like, whoa. There's no way we can let
we get a hold of their craft. Yeah. We get a hold of the bodies. We start seeing them.
Ambassadors may come up and be like, by the way, I live right down there.
And I think that's exactly what happened. Eventually, they had to come up and say, hey, this is the deal.
Yeah.
And we did an episode about it.
You know, DL? They're like, who? The Dalai Lama, bro.
Yeah,
like that's our homie. Like we've been talking to him forever. We're trying to start a dialogue with you, and they're like,
if you guys could be more like the Tibetan monks, we would share a lot more with you. Isn't it interesting?
Shoot it, kill him with fire.
Isn't it interesting that abductees say that that the aliens look like us? They're humans. That it's not just Greys. That the Greys are there doing like the busy work, but there's what they call the Nordics. They're these super attractive people that probably the genetically enhanced in every way. Those are the people that come up. There's stories of people that saw a craft that was just landed and just normal guys working out in front of the craft. And they come down and they talk to them and they answer all their questions. What's it like? It's great. They always say, though, they won't answer questions about religion. That's the one thing that they won't answer questions about. And I think that's telling.
Hold on. Yeah. D Livewire came in with his signature catchphrase.
Yeah.
He started a catchphrase on this channel, bro. Mm-hmm. He said, yeah, but what's really going on?
Yeah. Throw up the thumbnail. So we did an episode about the agreement, right? Between what we believe to be aliens with our president. And there's a lot of evidence that happened.
You're talking about the deal that never happened?
Yeah, there's tons of evidence of this.
Never.
The Greys have always been thought to be AI, some sort of...
Hey, they're people just like we are.
Robot of some kind.
Oh, Greys.
The Grey aliens. Okay. And that makes a lot of sense to me, right? If you're going to send something out on an expedition above ground where you might get shot at or you might get EMP'd or something, you wouldn't do it yourself. The really important missions, maybe the abductions, the scientific side of this, there's always people, what look to be human beings on the craft. That's what these abduction cases, they always say. There's even, what's her name? Benny and what's her name? The Hills? Is it Benny and Barney? I think
the couple that saw
Betty and Barney Hill. They were the first abduction case.
Couple.
Yep, they were the first abduction case ever. Yeah. She said that when she was abducted... It was, I guess, that when she was abducted, there were human beings on the craft that were just in normal jumpsuits walking around doing. Most abductions, even Travis Walton, there were human beings on the craft.
Did he say that?
Mm-hmm. In a lot of abduction cases, they have, there's a sexual encounter of some kind.
What if they put on like masks to seem less human than we are?
That could be, like there's these weird cases where there's like praying mantis people. Are those
put on little?
Are those aliens? But they're there with people.
They have technology, so it's just like what movie has that where they just hit the little thing, then like a hologram puts up around them, and they look like someone else.
I can see that. Yeah. Right? They would have that technology by now. So yeah, they can pretty much do whatever they want. But it's interesting that in all these abduction cases, they look like human beings. But really beautiful, tall,
of course,
handsome. Yeah, like so there's obviously some genetic engineering going on.
I have a confession to make.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're a Nordic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to pull off.
Is it still hard to pull off?
Yeah.
It's still pretty hard.
So they've obviously had to make themselves known to certain groups of people once we got a hold of their technology.
Yes, we did.
And I think there is an agreement in place. We had the head of the Israeli space program, when he retired, say we have a direct treaty in place with extraterrestrials. And great. What if extraterrestrials is the cover story? Because that's less frightening.
They're out there,
humans,
billions of miles away.
Yeah, they just come visit, and they're not violent.
Yeah,
they might even be trying to help us.
Yeah, don't worry about them.
Yeah.
But if you say, "Hey, guess what? Under your feet, under your little toesy woesies, are creatures that look just like you, but taller and cooler and prettier."
Yeah. Project Stargate, when they were remote viewing, they saw underground bases with aliens in them, and there were humans there. People always think it's because the government's got this pact with these aliens and they're working together on these. What if that's not the case? What if those people are from inner Earth?
Yeah.
But doesn't that make more sense than some government alien pact where we're working side by side with aliens on some?
Yes, it does.
It makes more sense that the people there and the aliens are probably working for them, or a species that evolved from inner Earth, or they're just AI. They're just robots.
AI would be crazy.
When they're the alien autopsies, none of their innards are connected to anything. They can breathe our air.
Yeah,
they don't get any
they're
disease.
all separate little things.
They've tried to expose.
So how does it
them
connect to this, my
disease.
good man? Missing 411.
So we know
episode 87.
So we know people go missing and get taken, and I'm not sure if everything is abduction. The way these craft work is they bend space time. That accounts for time slips. That accounts for missing time. And that would also account for missing people. And
there's missing people who come back saying they're missing time because of time slips.
Yeah. And obviously there's time dilation because they think they've been gone a week when they've only been gone an hour and a half.
Or
They have a
reverse.
reverse. They have a full beard.
They've been gone an hour, or they've been gone 2 weeks and thought they've been gone 15 minutes.
Exactly.
So did you say time slip?
Exactly. We did a whole episode on time slips. It happens, and it happens to pilots in the air. During weird storms. We did an episode where we talked about in the wake of these craft come these weird electrical storms, and these guys are slipping through time in these weird electrical storms. Maybe it's because there's an invisible craft at the heart of this electrical storm, and you just happen to pass through this time dilated sphere around the craft, and you travel through time.
And we have an episode incoming at some point where we're going to talk about stuff like that, where weird occurrences around the world and specific places.
But
anyway,
so I think the secrecy comes from there is an ontological shock there, that these people that they're from here and that they're people. And that they're right below our feet, and that they have this crazy amount of technology way beyond anything we could defend against. Yeah. That's scary. But I also think there's secrecy because of religion. And I think they're the ones who started it. I think by some of them coming to the surface and being treated as gods and creating kingdoms, and I think that turned into eventual religion. And I think religion is very happy with where it is right now.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's happy with the way things are going, and that by showing the true origins of all of this ancient history would, in a lot of cases, topple a lot of the religious beliefs that people have.
Isn't it sort of crazy that there isn't more cults? Like, don't you think there'd be like people
I think there's
who like
a lot. I think there's more than we think.
There probably is.
Yeah.
There probably is. Because like even that guy who like was a creep who like had a bunch of kids and his kids would make more kids, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
That creepy dude, like he had his own he wrote his own Bible. I mean, we didn't even know about it. His neighbors didn't know.
Yeah, it's wild.
And he had like 15 kids in there.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many, about like a dozen. And they were all following what they thought were like religious text, but it's just his ramblings of a madman.
Yeah. But the major religions have a lot of power and a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
dude, and just being a religion in this world, in this country, is like the greatest thing. Tax exempt? Are you kidding me, bro? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So you just get all these people to give you money, and we're not shitting on religion. I mean, maybe
at the heart of religion, I think it's trying to take us to this path where we can get to where they are. It is about
some religion, maybe, but
it's supposed to be
some,
about
I
peace.
think it's just to get your money.
Yeah, it's being like anything else that is touched by human hands, it gets bent and warped into something
just like
so far from what its original intentions are.
Scientology. I'm very fascinated with Scientology. Very fascinated.
Yeah.
Just the whole idea of it, how it started from the man who wrote more fiction than any other person in history, created a religion, and everyone's like, oh, that's true. That must be fact. He literally created more fiction than anyone in history. What are you talking about? But either way, and then to go clear and to get rid of your what do they call it? That starts with a T, whatever. You have like little things in you, and you got to get rid of them. So they do the things to go clear. So, and I was listening to a guy on, who's the guy who talks like this? He was a former engineer. He was a Lex Friedman.
Okay.
And he just
Yeah.
Well, I think.
He's like an MIT something, right?
He's like a super genius who's like, is on the spectrum for sure. Sweetheart of a man. But so he had this guy on who was a former, what do they call it? Auditor. So you literally have the person hold on to two little bars.
Yeah.
And it measures, it's an electrometer or so, whatever they call it. And it measures your electricity. So they assume like when you're the needle jumps, that means you're like lying or that you have those demon things in you or whatever.
Yeah.
So they'll get you to tell your deepest, darkest secrets. And then they'll like write it all down. And as they need that needle to stop going. So they're like, oh, you still have things in you. So you got to spend another $20,000 for another lesson for us to just gather your secrets. Anyway, it's off topic. I digress, but super fascinating.
Well, confession. I mean, there's always something, some form of that. Yeah. So, but
like, tell me, a normal human. I mean, I'm a part of the church, but tell me the most horrible shit you did. I thought about masturbation or whatever. Like, okay, Hail Marys.
But at its heart, isn't religion
supposed to be
pushing people
towards spirituality?
Good.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's the goal. People think twice about doing something wrong if they have some sort of religion.
That's crazy to me. I hate that concept, and I hate people who say that. No, I'm not saying it's not a concept.
Yeah,
I just hate that. You're not gonna punch a woman in the mouth because God wouldn't like that. No, maybe because it's horrible, you psychopath. Maybe you don't do it because it's a terrible thing to do.
Where do we learn these rules? Why is it ingrained in us, this right and wrong?
If I see someone, I'm like, I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to bring them pain or suffering.
Yeah, that's more natural. To do the right thing feels more natural than to do the wrong thing.
Yes.
And religion is trying to push us in a direction where we're thinking that there is some sort of punishment there, whether we know it or not. You can get away with it, yes.
I don't like
get away
stealing.
with it
like
from this.
I don't steal because I think I'll go to jail. That is one. Because I'm like, dude, Amazon, they have enough money. What if I just went to the thing and bought, But I don't want to do it because I don't want to go to jail. That's one thing. But
yeah, but it feels wrong. There's like something inside you that says it's not natural to do this.
I didn't earn the money to pay for it, so I don't deserve it.
It's more, it's just, maybe you just naturally know that. Yeah, and you feel that. You know that. It's inside your bones.
But what if there's a society where you just shared everything? Or it was like what's it called? Burning Man.
Yeah.
You trade. Well, I have this, or I give good massages. Hey, give me some of your bread for
I think
a
that
good
was
massage.
the base of Agartha. I think that's how it started. Was like, hey, we're all gonna pitch in and do this together.
That makes so much sense. So
and
you're saying Burning Man is the closest thing we have to Enlightenment. Okay, go on.
Tibetan monks are probably the closest, but yeah, Burning Man. I like the idea of a bunch of people getting together and just trying to do good by each other.
And there's art like on display. Which remember, I would be an artist in Agartha. I'd be juggling or something dope. And then, they have these cool vehicles. They have so much dope stuff.
Yeah.
So Burning Man, and think of what Burning Man is. It's actually sort of like the ultimate Agartha-esque thing, right? They're all in this one isolated place.
Yeah.
And they have to wear like robes and stuff because the elements are pretty harsh, right?
Yeah.
And then you just all party and enjoy each other. There's no money. Yeah. There's no money changing hands. You just do your thing. Pretty wicked. I don't know. So
yeah, I think there's lessons to be learned there, and people feel good when they go.
Yeah,
they feel good about what they're doing. Everybody's pitching in and helping each other.
I do have something funny at the end when we're done that I wanted to show you, but let's continue this here. So we have an entire catalog of episodes that we've discussed several different, as you said, seemingly disparate topics that are actually connected. So let's run through the timeline real quick, and then we'll get to where we are, and then we'll continue from there. So, birthed these people similar to us, bipedal hominids, right?
They're people. They're humans. Yeah. Humans.
Sure.
In 51,000 BC, start a civilization, and it's based on peace.
Yep.
It's based on togetherness and
Spirituality.
spirituality and trying to reach enlightenment. That's at the core of it.
Yep. And then they build these different cities.
Yeah.
They have Atlantis.
Yeah.
They have, which was so if Egypt is their place of knowledge.
Yeah.
And Angkor Wat is their place of worship. Atlantis is what?
I think that was their major city. I think
that is
their
their
metropolis.
metropolis. Exactly right. Okay.
And there's a lot of resources, more gold there than anywhere else, and they use those resources
And
for
gold
all
was
kinds
used
of things.
as to transmit electricity.
Yeah, it was conductive,
it's a
expendable.
conductor. Yeah,
They
yeah.
can use. I mean, there's so many uses for gold.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Very
I
versatile
think,
substance.
Yeah, and there were other for building their cities. There was zinc and copper and all kinds of.
the world's most versatile substance, and they use it for watches.
Yeah. Right.
The world's most versatile substance. Is that what he says? So versatile?
It's
The world's
like
most
that.
versatile substance. They use it to build a frisbee.
Yeah.
Fucking Ultron. Underutilized.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I just watched it the other day. Me and this girl are doing this MCU watch through. It's taking way too long, but it's fun. And we just watched Age of Ultron. Really good movie, really fun. But we're on Civil War now.
Good.
The best of the best.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Angkor Wat is their place of worship.
Yeah.
Egypt is their place of knowledge and their libraries, basically. And then Atlantis is their metropolis where they all hang.
Yeah.
And, dab each other up. I don't know what they did.
Yeah.
And then Cataclysm.
Yeah.
Shit. We got to go underground.
They
baby.
knew they had to go underground. They had the technology to read the stars, so they knew, okay, we got to get to a
Something's
safe place.
Maybe they built Stonehenge. Who knows?
I think that might have come after. I think a lot
some
of
point?
I think a lot of ancient architecture was in some way trying to like echo what the gods had created.
By
or
gods, you mean
to honor the gods, or to honor their sciences, like
by
their
gods,
magic.
you mean
The Agarthans, the Atlanteans,
Not gods.
the
okay? The Agartha.
pre-dynastic Egyptians.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then Cataclysm. Oh man,
Yeah.
we got to go underground. All the cool stuff. Hopefully, it'll withstand the time and the elements. The pyramids, for
Yeah,
example.
well, some stay and save people and save animals, and there's the Ark story, and
Sure.
I think that really did happen. The Hopi say that they were flying shields that they used to save people.
So they're
with,
coming up.
get people underground to safety.
Yeah, so they're using what's it called? Flying saucers. Where is it?
Yeah.
at? I wanted to show that picture. They're using flying saucers. They're using arcs. They're using here it is.
Yeah,
They're using all this stuff to save people.
Yeah.
And then
and the DNA of different animals and capture all that so that they can recreate.
interstellar type of stuff. They
Yeah.
have like everyone's DNA and these little
Yeah,
things. Whatever.
even animal DNA, all of it.
Got it. I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, so arc happens or the flood happens. They build arcs of
Yep.
several kinds.
Yep.
Flying spaceships, as the Paiutes or who the Hopi said.
Yeah.
And they also build maybe ships that float on
Yeah.
water and then go underground. So they have to go underground. After that,
Yeah. And we have the tunnel systems. We have the underground tunnels. We have the Darren Kuyu and all these places that were built to save people.
they're still there evolving, learning.
Yeah. They send some people
Technology.
to the surface to try and restart civilization. These people become gods that are worshipped by these tribal nomadic human beings.
Yeah.
That eventually sprouts into religion. And these gods, they have children that become demigods, and that's where we get the stories of the Greek pantheon of gods or the Egyptian pantheon of gods.
Hercules,
is
the
from the
demigod, is really
survival.
just-
It's from these Agarthans, from these that came to the surface.
Because Zeus, it was a god that just hooked up with humans all day.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what he did.
They had a lot of children. Yeah, and they couldn't do that if they were aliens.
Heracles.
Yeah.
But and then so this flood happens. They go underground. They send ambassadors. They help. They
Yeah.
arcs, so on and so forth. Cut to the future.
Yeah.
Now we are post Cataclysm.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Human beings. We're doing our thing.
Yeah.
Running around. And then what happens now? What year are we at? Roswell.
Yeah.
So Admiral Byrd. He sees. Wait, there's UFOs in fucking Antarctica. What's
Yeah.
going on
There's a
over here?
whole, and he describes the people there as being tall, blonde human beings.
Yeah. So there's these tall, blonde, beautiful human beings. What's going on? And then Roswell, we see a
we
downed
actually get our
craft.
hands on it.
and we're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
what the hell are we looking at here?
Yeah.
And it's madness.
We need to figure out how this works. We need to recreate it.
We reverse
need to-
engineer.
yeah. So we put secrecy around that because just like the nuclear weapon, this could be weaponized. And that's where we're thinking. These bodies we find, we think that they're aliens or from another planet because they don't look like us.
Yeah.
And eventually, and then there's all this ancient architecture starting to, be uncovered by archaeology.
Yeah.
There's bones of giants found all over the world. And
Giant bones.
this all points to a history that we're not being taught that flies in the face of modern religion. And there's a lot, and if we bring it all the way full circle.
Yeah.
Lou Elizondo in his book said that his program was being hit at every corner. He was being stopped.
Yeah, red tape.
Because of a group of very religious leaders within the government.
Did he say what religion?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's Christianity.
Catholic, Christian.
They believe that these were demons, right? That the more we learn about them, the worse, because they are
We don't
demons.
want to learn about demons? Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just going to teach us shitty stuff.
Project Stargate was shut down because it was considered to be the devil's work.
Demonic.
But this seems to be an ability that all of us have. Anyone that's ever worked on Stargate or looked into it says that everyone is capable of remote viewing. Everyone.
Yeah.
So that would be a latent ability that we have that the Agarthans probably perfected. And with a remote viewing comes telepathy. And abductees say they are spoken to telepathically, that these people can talk to them directly to their mind. So that's part of meditation.
You've hinted before on an episode that I asked you how many of these spacecrafts do you think are extraterrestrial versus terrestrial? You said 80% are terrestrial.
Yeah.
At the least. And then you said future humans, perhaps.
Right.
So these Agarthans are past humans, not future humans. So where does your future human theory come into play?
So with this theory, I like it the way it is, where we had a group of people that got together and created a perfect civilization that was in harmony with the earth. And they showed us that they achieved these amazing things together with the pyramids by building something like that. And they showed other tribes and ancient peoples that they could use vibration and frequency to do the heavy lifting, right, literally. So to speak. And that they could meditate and contact each other telepathically, that they could use the abilities they already have inside of themselves to tap into infinite knowledge, to learn anything or to see any place or to talk to a friend in another continent or to even give them ideas to tell them.
What if the Agarthans are future humans? What about this?
So go ahead. That's where I'm going. Is I like the timeline being that this is what happened. What the theory you're talking about and what very well could be the case is that at some point in the future where we already have this technology, somebody goes back to 55,900 BC and starts the Agarthan civilization with the technology already in hand. They have medical technology, the spaceships, they've got time travel technology. They don't die because they've solved all health care problems and they've solved death, and that it starts there.
That's what I'm saying is that as opposed to them evolving sort of alongside us, they are us. It is us.
Yeah.
And then we just build a time machine, go to the future.
Yeah.
Or it's already played out and they come from the future to the past.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
Or to whenever they came back originally.
You're right.
And with all this technology, and they try to feed us little bits of information because there's a certain place we need to end up.
Yeah.
There's a certain timeline that has to play out. And they do everything from inner earth hiding to make sure that this particular thing happens. They need this person to do this thing at this time, and the only way that's going to happen is if these people know this and they believe this religion and they go by these this dogma and they follow these rules and they believe in this and they build these crafts and they think Roswell's aliens and whatever. We need this to happen so that this event occurs.
Right.
And if it doesn't occur, then I can never go back in time, and now we're in a paradox and we're fudged.
Yeah, it makes sense why they would hide. Why they would hide themselves, why they would ask the government to keep them hidden.
Effect.
Yeah, why they would always be in the mountains of the Himalayas or in the desert.
Speaking of the mountain of the
nowhere.
Himalayas, Chase asked.
Yeah.
He said a couple things, but the most recent thing he said was, "Where do you think the most possible entrance to Agartha on Earth is?"
So if you watch that episode, I can't remember which one it is, but it's the Heaven is a place in Earth.
Yeah.
I go over all of the entrances to Inner Earth, where they're coming out of and how they get back in, and they are all guarded. Most people that try to go to these places are never seen again.
Name 1, 2, 3, or 4.
So the main entrance is in Tibet. It's in an old monastery in the Himalayas.
That makes sense.
And that's the original Agartha. That's the entrance to Shambhala.
Do you think there's an entrance maybe in a national forest here in America?
Yes, there's one in the Grand Canyon.
Oh.
And we know that there was an expedition that was led in like the early 1900s before they locked up and made it a national forest where you couldn't go just do whatever you wanted on
Not
that
a national
land.
forest. What do they call that?
Protected national
land.
forest. Yeah. But a guy went there to go mining before it was declared a national forest because then he wouldn't be able to mine. While he was mining, he found a cave entrance that had relics of the past from Egypt, Asia, and from Mesopotamia, all in one cave entrance with mummies. Yeah, mummies from Egypt.
Weird.
So every place that we just talked about as being a possible city from Agartha was represented in this cave in the Grand Canyon. He called the media, told them what he found. He called DC to have the museum come down and help him excavate it. And we never heard about it again. The entrances were closed up. You can still go visit these big steel doors that cover up most of the cave entrances in the Grand Canyon. But the man's name was G.E. Kincaid, and you can look up his story. And
G.E. Kincaid.
Yeah, and you can look up his story. It was in a newspaper in Arizona. And yeah, he found relics from all of the places that we discussed earlier as being possible cities of Agartha. There was a big Buddha statue next to an Egyptian statue next to
fucking crazy.
Yeah, next to mummies
Gerard
with a bunch of gold.
Edmund G.E.
I don't know.
I do.
Okay.
No, I don't.
But yeah, so there's supposedly one there. There's another place where relics were found that predated the Sumerians, and these were being pulled out of a cave in South America. And the guy that was, he was down there. It was the locals that were bringing him these little presents, these gifts. And he asked to see, where are you getting these from? And it was this deep cave system that went way down into the middle of the earth. And they were saying that inside, if you go in there, there's all these relics. But they pointed to civilizations from all over the world. So it doesn't make sense that they would be there unless all of these civilizations had contact with each other
of some kind.
thousands of years in the past.
Creepy, weird.
So insane. Another entrance, somewhere in, I can't remember what country that was. But all of the entrances I know about are in that episode.
So as far as the Western world is concerned, post Roswell, there is a pact that is made between these ambassadors and our government.
I think so, yeah. And I don't know if our government knows about Hollow Earth or how much they know about it or take it seriously. They might like that it's aliens, and they might stick with that. But I don't think that's what it is.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, where do you want to end off? I mean,
I would say based on everything that I've discussed today, all the evidence that I laid out, let's take the future humans out of it, and just from 51,000 BC, this Agarthan civilization we know was started, to everything I laid out to this point, to current history, and why they kept it secret.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think is more likely? That aliens have been coming to Earth for 55,000 years and mating with human beings and creating these civilizations, or that a group of humans have found a way to keep themselves hidden and with uninterrupted peace and no cataclysms for 50,000 years, they would have the technology that we see out there today. So you're asking me aliens or inner Earth beings? Yeah. Are they from here or are they from out there? What makes more sense to you at this point?
I think a little bit of both could make perfect sense.
There has to be some aliens at some point, I'm sure.
I think so.
Because we have these weird stories and the craft look a lot different. You know what I mean? So I'm sure that it happens, that there are visitors. but I think the majority of what we're seeing is from right here on Earth, and I think they're.
I think it makes a lot of sense if you take into account Younger Dryas impact theory, the stories from Admiral Byrd, G.D. Cooper, what did you say his name was?
Kincaid, yeah.
G.D. Kincaid, G.E.
Yeah.
Kincaid. If you take all these stories into account, it doesn't make sense unless these societies were connected in some way at some point.
Yeah. Atlantis, Egypt, and Agartha, and Angkor Wat, and the architecture is always the same. It's they build on these little islands, like Angkor Wat's built on this island, and engineers still don't know how they did it. And how,
same with pyramids in Egypt.
How do they build those?
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense unless there's intervention of some kind.
Yeah.
May it be
Atlantis
from above or from
concentric
below.
circle building with there's pyramids all over the world representing these cultures.
Sure.
So,
but I think if we were to go with the theory that you're posing, I think my favorite part would be the add-on of it's somebody that lived out in 5,000 years from now, whatever, and they went back in time to make sure there's a specific thing that needs to occur. Or a specific timeline we need to be following.
Yeah, you'd want to. You'd want to stay away from people, and they do.
And that's why. That's the only reason that staying in Earth would make sense, unless there's shit we really have no idea about. That there's like D Live, where I was saying about this, they don't teach us in school. Maybe there is a sun down there somehow. I don't know how that would work. Like with the gravitational pull and stuff. I don't know how that makes sense. But maybe there is some light down there, and there's oceans and it's beautiful. Who knows, you know?
Yeah.
But so maybe it's
we recently discovered there's more water in the Earth than on the outside of it than on the surface. That's a recent scientific
discovery. The surface
discovery.
is covered,
right? Isn't that crazy? There's more water in the Earth
doesn't make sense.
than outside of it.
So the mantle is all like water.
We don't know.
We
much
don't know
about
anything about Earth, bro.
we can't get past the crust.
We can't get to the bottom of our own fucking ocean. We don't know anything.
But this was a recent scientific revelation that came out this year that they were able
How do we know that if we can't get past the crust?
Sending signals through the Earth.
LiDAR or something.
Yeah, you send like signals through and see what comes out the other side and how long it takes the signals to go. That's rock. It goes this far, fast through water. Liquid water, things like that. But there's more water inside the Earth than outside of it. How do they have electricity, so lighting, they could light it if they don't have any access to sunlight. But we know that there's massive cave systems that do have access to sunlight that have their own ecosystems because of it. But at the core, is the mantle able to work as a sunlight source of some kind? Maybe. Maybe there's something down there that acts as its own sun.
Super fascinating, extremely
superheated part of the sky above wherever they are that creates a perpetual light source that gives you what you need, the nutrients that you need.
Yeah. So that's obviously your theory. So you believe that's the case, is what you're saying is...
I think it makes no sense to hide our history unless...
Sure.
And hide the the technology that we found, and to hide aliens if we have aliens. There's no reason to keep that secret and hide archaeological secrets unless the two are connected.
Yep.
And we have so much evidence that they are. And the ancient Eastern religions and all of their texts are just as telling. And the stories from Samaria are, if you show up in a flying craft, you're from the stars. That's what that's what people are going to say. And even if you told them you were from, where are you going to tell them you're from, right? If they worship you as a god,
Mars,
or oral histories 10,000 years passed down, they're going to end up saying...
I think the best evidence to your theory that they're not extraterrestrial, but Inner-Earthrians or Agarthians, whatever you want to call them, is the fact that they are like bipedal hominids with freaking... or bipedal with mouths, eyes, ears.
They can have
fingers.
children with other humans.
How does that make sense?
They have kids with human beings. They abduct human beings, and the abductees say that they look like humans. That there are these weird other things too, but there's humans there. There's humans there.
Okay.
It
Well
doesn't
done.
make sense.
I love it. It's fascinating. I'd love to know what the chat thinks. Leave a comment, leave a message, and God damn it, what did I always forget this? And also hit the like button. We're not done with the episode. There's more I want to show you, but make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you become a member. Chase.
Yeah, please tell us what you think.
I know you were trying
on
to
this
figure out how to become a member, and so do that now.
Because this is interesting stuff. I would love to know what you think. Yeah.
I know, same. So yeah, let us know. Best comment gets a shout out. Last episode, 2 people left great comments. Historic History and Triple J left great comments.
Thank you for commenting, everybody out there that comments.
Yeah, so well done on them. 2 new fans of the show, and they're fantastic, and we love you. But so Jared, well done again. Beautiful.
Wild stuff.
Anyway, but now I want to show you a little something, buddy. And it's something I found on TikTok that has just been making me laugh hysterically.
Okay.
And I'm excited for you to do likewise. You ready, my boy?
Yeah.
So this is called bad lip reading.
Okay.
So they take, it's so good. So they take interviews. My favorite are some of the ones they take from the floor, like watching congressmen or senators, right?
Yeah.
And they lip read over them, and it's called bad lip reading because they say like just the most absurd shit. But check it out.
Okay.
How are you doing there, Joe? Come on, wake up, Sleepy Joe.
Wait a second. Wait a sec. Who are you? Do I know you?
Yeah.
Are you James? Wait for me a second.
Oh, God, don't start
My
with
medicine
this.
hasn't kicked in yet.
That's not a surprise.
Hey, I thought you were a nice guy, Danny.
I'm Danny.
Is it Tommy?
Wrong.
Question. So in the room, I have my TV set up.
Why is it so
with Roku.
quiet?
The Roku works just fine, but I can't get the Nintendo Switch to show up on the TV screen. Why is it doing this?
What input do you have your Nintendo plugged into?
What is that?
Seriously? The HDMI needs to be connected to the Nintendo, which goes into one of the inputs. Then, on the TV screen, change the input to match the switch. You got that, Sleepy Joe?
Yes. Press the switch twice time.
Joe, I'm thinking of a number 1 through 10. What is it?
Billy, I'm thinking it's 14, 17.
Sorry, it was 9.
Oh, shucks.
I win. I always win.
Yeah, is that true? Bruce?
Of course it is.
Then tell me, who is the current president?
Oh. Joe, shots were fired. At least you said one smart thing.
Babushka, I love you.
Hey, I love you too, Joe. Now let's go fire up your Nintendo Switch. So, how are you doing?
These are some of my favorites.
Harry Styles just bought the Titanic. Is that true? I don't know. Oh, wow. That's by a ghost. Oh, it's okay. You're at the fair. But to be honest, Ghost, the lights are dim because it's not the fair. It's not the fair. Well, hey, you know what? Yeah, I spotted a female ghost this day last year. Is she your sister? What? Bog Lorena. That ghost is wicked. It's got Bigfoot smile, drinking a 45. No touching the pony. He's lethargic.
Just madness.
I found a tack in my flip-flop and now I'm suing. It tracks. Old man tycoon.
Remember, speak up. Tonight I'm partying. I have 4 stork eggs and a pony. You'll love it.
I'm not joining you. Ox cord.
Are there any snacks?
Think there's some raisins. Prince of Rare.
Enchanté.
I will off you. Cold person.
I'm freezing. Give me your blanket.
Queen of sneezing. The neck hurts? Go tell a friend. Domehead.
Everybody heard you.
Because they're supposed to. Shark in the forest. I love big arteries. Of course you do.
Look at all the MILFs. It's like, what? Oh, yeah. MILFs, huh? Ooh. See,
I found a tack in my
Alright, we gotta go on. This one's great.
personal or business.
personal. I'm gonna go, Matt. I don't know her. Okay.
Bye you.
That was sort of important.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It was important to me.
Okay, well, I will go talk to myself.
Good move.
Oh, okay, rude.
I gotta scoot a bit because of my scrotum. Do we really have an alien spaceship? I saw the thing fly. They're real.
Please don't read about fornication.
If I had my boots on, this whole thing would have gone different. Don't worry about it. Ding the bell. He's not ready. Okay. Just a regular human. I bleed pie. See, I should have stopped it right there. I always do this. It was getting there, right? I mean, just passable.
I got a tear in there.
I said I want taverns built into preschools. I thought that's what you said. Yeah. I just remember that I need to go. Really, that just happened? Like it just happened right now? Well, I don't believe that for a minute. I don't either.
I don't either.
Personal.
All right, one more.
It's a wonderful day for not revealing any secrets to our enemies, isn't it? We're acting like so
Felicity
evil.
knows these. She said she loves this.
Something's not yes, I will buy a new American flag today.
I invented tofu.
You?
Uh-huh.
But
You ever heard of sticky tape?
yeah, I know tape.
Invented that. I'll get it. I also invented movie date night.
No kidding.
It's not a big deal.
Okay.
It's not a big deal.
Seriously, I mean, how much money can I eat? You really don't want to eat money. Because it's not good to eat it. So, did you eat real money? For real? Yeah. Really?
Loogie of dust. I am confident. Yeah, that's obvious. Dead eyes,
The ship's haunted.
like your face. Ripper pot.
It's a wonderful day.
It's so good. I recommend looking it up on TikTok, guys. It's
That's
called
funny.
Bad Lip _Reader.
That's a smart idea.
It's so clever.
Yeah.
You got to be smart though to do like good ones, like to come up with clever
Yeah.
good ones. But episode 100, dude. God bless us.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun, frankly.
Yeah.
So good for us. I mean, wild, good stuff. So what a fun theory time.
Yeah.
Tying it all together.
Yeah, and if you've seen a lot of these episodes, I'm glad that you guys got to see us pull all this stuff into one big overarching theory. Go check out some of these episodes if you haven't seen them. Let us know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this theory. Are we being visited by ourselves? I would love to know what you think. Tell us.
I don't care about your theory. No. Yeah, Jared, any last words again?
No, thank you to the chat. You guys the whole time were
Hell yeah.
super engaged, and you knew a lot about these topics, so that's always nice. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for that.
Yeah, episode
Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
Should have been
Comment,
100
like.
hours.
Let us know.
I know, right? Facts. He said another great show. Thank you, Live Art. Thank you, Chase Mack. Thank you, Given Life as always. Thank you, Felicity. All you guys rock.
I like how we said teach it in
Tina-
schools.
Yeah, I know. Tina, CTB. Who else? Who are we missing? Everybody. Yeah, we love you all. And if I didn't say your name, it's because I'm dumb and I forgot. But thank you so much. I hear there's a lot of interesting stuff for episode 101. Dude, we got a lot of good stuff.
When is it not?
A lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Coming your way. It'll be a lot of fun. I don't know why I did a Trump impression. But anyway, so thank you guys. We love you. 100 episodes. You've been with us. You've been following along. You guys are the bee's knees, you're the cat's PJs, as you know. And yeah, we love you. We'll see you on that flippity flop. Stay cool. And later, skater!